Why, hello there. Welcome on everybody's Monday. Hopefully, you're having a good day. Hopefully, you're having a safe day. Hopefully, you're treating all weapons like they're loaded. Don't want another mishap. I don't want another shooting while shooting on another movie set. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about economics. And I don't know really how to say this, but other than I'm not an economics expert by no means, but I do know a thing or two about economics. I do know what unrealized capital gains are and unrealized capital losses. This is if you were to buy a share, let's say it's $1 per share, you buy one share, and then in about 6 months it's worth $100,000 to $1,000,000. The unrealized capital gains is the profits that you make prior to selling if you were to sell it. That is the unrealized capital gains. Janet Yellen's idea is to tax the unrealized capital gains. That means that you bought the share at $1. You have no plans to selling it, but you are owed taxes because it's now worth more than what you paid for. This is a wealth tax. This is an attack on the economy. If you want to really crash the economy, ideas like this is how you do it. But anyways, I don't normally use the Bitcoin.com, but it's going to be an interesting article. I'm reading this blind, but I'm pretty sure with the title, An Act of War Against the Middle Class, American criticized Janet Yellen's idea to tax unrealized capital gains. Yeah, I'm not going to be reading that. Janet Yellen discussed unrealized capital gains tax proposal. House Speaker Pelosi approves because she's a Democrat, and any way to get more money out of the middle class, she's all for it. Keep in mind, I think she's the third or fourth richest congresswoman or congressperson in office right now. If she's not the top one, just keep that in mind. The phrase unrealized capital gains have been trending on social media and forums during the last 24 hours after the U.S. Secretary of Treasury Janet Yellen discussed the subject on CNN's State of the Union. Yellen explained that the concept which aims on to tax Americans on unrealized gains stemming from liquid assets. Of course, the controversial $600 IRS monitoring proposal, Yellen stressed that the proposal was aimed at the extremely wealthy individuals, billionaires. Yellen emphasized. However, the tax was not a wealth tax. I wouldn't call it a wealth tax, but it will help get at capital gains, which are extraordinarily large part of the income of the wealthiest individuals right now, to escape taxation until they're realized. Yellen said on CNN. That's an interesting way to put it. Are now escaping taxations until they're realized. So they want us to invest into companies, but yet when we start making too much money, we're being penalized because we're making too much money. And we have no desire to sell, but if we don't sell, we get penalized. If we do sell, we do get penalized. What's the point of investing into companies, even though we do get like a 15% tax when we do sell, or we tax on the 15% of the income that we make off of, we keep it long term. Now, of course, I think the short term is closer to 30%. She explained that the Democrat Senator Ron Wyden was working on the proposal, and the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is backing the concept. Although, despite Yellen saying it wasn't a wealth tax, Pelosi, Democrat Kaplan, words were different. She told, "We'll probably will have a wealth tax." The proposed tax, which will pay Build Back Better Act, is not a wealth tax, but a tax on unrealized gain of the exceptionally wealthy individuals. But the thing is, they don't have the money until they liquidate. I mean, it's kind of like Jeff Bezos, or forgot his name, but and Elon Musk. Most of their money is tied within the company that they own, and their stock prices are extraordinarily high. So a lot of their wealth is tied into their own stock. But even though if they were to sell or liquidate, it'll be worth that much. But they're not selling it, it's still unrealized gains, which means that they're still invested within the company, and they would have to sell their share or sell their stake in order to liquidate, in order to pay for taxes. Political commentator, libertarian crypto enthusiast scorns Yellen's proposal. Tax on realized gain is a legal blunder. The 2020 Libertarian Vice President candidate Spike Cohen said, "This is unconscionable. For those who don't know, an unrealized gain is when something you own gains value, but you do not sell. Like your house or your retirement fund. Now that you have to sell it, pay taxes on it if implemented. This would be an act of war against the remaining middle class folks who still actually own things." Cryptocurrency supporter Galaxy Digital CEO Mike Navagatz or Gratz shared his 2 cents about unrealized gains on Twitter. Made me try eliminating the step up basis first and carried the interest, the billionaire investor said. That'll be a start. Unrealized gains on illiquid security would be a unmitigated disaster. Independent journalist Jordan Schachel explained taxing unrealized gains is only a minimum of taxation itself. This is not a bigger objective, Schmeichel remarked. The journalist added. Taxing unrealized gains grants the government the ability to monitor each and your every move. Nearly every post on social media and forums concerned that the subject is littered with commentary that indicates Americans think taxing unrealized gains is a horrible idea, except for the mainstream publications like Wall Street Journal, Washington Compost, The Ant Hill, and other publications that continue to argue that the taxes aim at the billionaire class and the exceptionally wealthy individuals. American journalist YouTuber Tim Pool says that the proposal is merely a trick on people with no money. Wealth tax, unrealized gains, whatever, Pool tweeted, it's a trick rich people into pulling on the poor who don't understand how finance and the economy works. Wealth taxes will do nothing or will not do anything. People really don't understand the power of the vast wealth. Bitcoin proponent Stephen LeVert stressed on social media tax on unrealized gains is legal plunder that created this mess. Now they're looking to pass the cost on to people. Forcing people to sell their assets is totalitarian, is anti-ethical to the free market, and will cause a second and third order effect that will be devastating onto the economy. This is actually what taxing unrealized gain will do. Evolutionary behavior scientist and well-known author God Sad noted sarcastically that the unrealized gain tax was a good concept. It sounds like a good idea. Sad said scornfully. Also, we should engage in a punitive action on unrealized crime. You find a person who looks guilty and you preemptively give them the chair for the common cohesively and diversity, the author concluded. Yeah, I'm not buying it. This is a taxation on the middle class and probably the upper poor class, people that don't really understand. Let's say you own a rock, the government can turn around and say that rock is worth $1,000,000. Since you haven't sold a rock, but it's worth $1,000,000, you now owe taxes on that $1,000,000 because we say that rock is worth $1,000,000. You go try to sell the rock, you only get $10, but yet you now owe the government even more because they deemed you the value of $1,000,000, but you only get $10, and you need $100,000 in order to pay for the taxes, assuming that it's at a 10% rate. So this is a terrible idea. It will kill the economy because you won't be able to pay for it unless you sell your shares. And that's what people who are smart with the economy understand that. Now everybody's agreeing if you were to buy a share at $1 and it goes up to $1,000,000, when you sell that one share for $1,000,000, that is considered income and is taxable. I don't think you'll hear an argument against that. I mean, you probably could with the libertarians. It says any taxation is theft, which is, I kind of see their point and I understand their argument, but at the same time, the government isn't cheap. And the fact that they are not willing to downsize their spending and only want to spend more, which is going to be a issue unto itself. Because the more you spend, the more you have to tax. The more you tax, the more you spend. And then we have an out of control debt, which is worth several $trillion. And there's no way that we're going to pay that back. No way. I mean, I think we're barely making interest payments on it, which is also adding to the debt. Which is why I understand the debt ceiling is kind of pointless because we have to pay our debt, and that's where a good chunk of it's going. Anyways, do you think I'm on point that this is a terrible idea? Or do you agree with the Democrats? Do you agree with Nancy Pelosi? Do you agree with Janet Yellen that unrealized capital gains is needed? Leave a comment down below. Smash the like and subscribe button on all platforms, or just the platform that you're watching. But most importantly, have yourself a wonderful day, morning, or evening.